Hello and welcome to Crafty Learns Java Programming. Today we're going loopy, yes. We're going to look at some things called loops. I've been studying them. So we're going to make a new class. Do it that way. And we're going to call it Loopy. There we go. So I'm going to talk about two types of loops today. First, we're going to let's create a method just to do it. Public void, let's think, what can we do? While away. This first loop, as I type, is called a while loop. So we'll just look at the structure first. Basically, you put while, and you get that with an E, obviously. You get the reserved word color. Okay, and you do some parentheses and some brackets, and it's closed. Now it's got a little error there because what we have to do here is put a condition, a test. Okay, so for example, let's just go above here, and we're going to put an int, and we're going to call it count, and we're going to say it equals 0. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to count up to 20. Okay, so I could just do a big mathematical formula, but nah, why bother with that? So what we're going to do, and we're going to show you another new thing as well. So I'm just going to count is greater or equal to 20. Sorry, less or equal to 20. So what we're going to do is sys out. Forgetting the shortcuts myself. Control space, remember that. And we're going to put count. We're going to add that variable, so it prints out that variable there. Okay, and we're going to introduce you to a new thing. All right, so we'll type the variable, and we put plus plus. Now what that does is it adds 1. Oops. Remember, semicolon. So we have this. It's called I think it's called an increment operator. You have the opposite, which is minus minus. Okay, but we want a plus plus. So every time, what will happen while count is less or equal to 20, it will print out count, and then it will add 1. Okay, so let's go to our main. Oh, we've got our calculator there still. That's good. So we're going to create a new loopy object. So loopy loop equals new loopy. This is why I do this, so you get used to creating objects. And we're going to go loop dot to call it, and do we say it? And we say it here, while away. Okay, so let's hope this works. Let's save everything, and what we should see. Whoa, it worked. So let's see what happened. Let's just run it. This is how I understand it. So while this condition is met, while this is less, for example, is less than 20, it's going to print it out. So 0 was the first one because we initialized. That means we actually put a number there or something, and we set it while it's less than 20, print out the number. So it went, okay, 0 is less than 20. I'm going to print it out. 1's less than 20. I'm going to print it out, and so on and so on. Gets to 20. well, it's less than, it's equal to 20, so I can print that out. And then it goes, ooh, 20 here. This goes towards 20, we're at 20 here, remember? And it goes 21. Well, no way. I'm going to stop there. Because that doesn't meet this condition. This is the test. Yes. So it says, stop. Stop right now. So there you go. It's a very simple loop, and it's one of the most, it's used a lot. And you can, it basically cuts down on what you want to do, on all the time. If you want something repeated, and then for a certain amount, you can do that. Okay, I mean, we'll put it in a better example, obviously, but this is just to introduce it. So what we did, a recap for what the while loop is. So we give ourselves a integer here, which we initialize. This is the jargon. Initialize just means you give it something, it equals to something. If I don't initialize it, it's this. All right, and then you get lots of errors. Equals 0. Okay. So that we do the while with parentheses, and we said if this count is less than or equal to 20, we're gonna print out the number, which is the count. So at the first one it'll be 0, and then we said, listen Java, I want to add to it, but I'm not gonna put count plus 1 all the time. Count plus 1. So we're gonna use this new thing called the increment operator, if I'm getting it right, and plus plus. Okay, now you've got the minus minus as well. So we'll have to change this. We'll try the other way, 20. Let's think, so if it's, I think we have to put less than equal to 0. I don't know, I'm just learning. Bear with me. And it's wrong. See, nothing's happened. We've got any problems? So we've did a mistake. So the count is 20. Okay, so it says while count is less than or equal to 20. Less than equal. So how do we change this? See, we have a problem here. And how are we going to solve it? So we have to solve it logically. We have to say what's wrong. So I put the count at 20, and I want to go down instead of up. So we say while it's less than equal to 20, it would print out. So let's put this at 20, see what happens. Whoa! Now we've got it. Here's a good thing for you. This is called an infinite loop, because it always, whoa. Don't worry, it'll go on forever and ever and ever and ever. And that's what we call an infinite loop, and that's the mistake. So we've made a mistake here. Oh, great. So let's put a greater on. Let's see what this does. We're just going to test some things. 20. So if it's greater than or equal to 20, no. It just prints out 20, and it doesn't minus it. So we have to think of let's put 0. Oh, there we go. You see, that's a good thing about learning. You practice, you try. I'm no expert, but you get there in the end. You just try different things. So if it's greater than or equal to 0, so it is greater than or equal to 0. That's the logic behind it. So if it's greater than or equal to 0, it'll print it out. Then it'll take one off. So it'll go to 19, and so forth, so forth. And when it reaches 0, it's equal to 0. It's not greater, but it's equal to 0. It'll stop. You see? So that's the minus, the decrement, I think they call it, operator. So this is the while loop. Okay? And you see me made a few mistakes, and I'm glad about that, because, you know, you've seen the famous infinite loop, which can happen when you don't do this properly. I read about it. And finally, yes, I did it. You see? But sometimes infinite loops are used. I read that an infinite loop is used in a game. It's how a game runs continuously and continuously until you give it some command to say, "Oh, get out of this loop." So that it is useful, these infinite loops. Don't think they're a bad thing, because they're not. You just might want to do it. So the next thing we're going to look at is the for loop. The for loop. Let's do a for a while. Let's just call it stupid names. Doesn't matter. Okay, now the for loop is a bit different. Okay, it has 3 parts to it. And this is more complicated. The while loop is a bit simpler, but this one is a bit more complicated. And the while is just while you want something to happen, do it. Okay, the for loop is, I look at it like this. For every time I want this done, do it. Now it's controlled. Okay, so how is this structured? Well, we have to write for, obviously, and look, it's a reserved word, and we need parentheses, and you need some brackets after it, and it gives me errors because there's nothing in there. So what you have to do is initialize it, alright, and I think the standard way to do it is I. So I equals 0, and I've done that, and then you do a semicolon. Right, now this next part is a bit like this part in the while loop. Right, it controls the thing. So for example, if I is less than 20, okay, and we're going to do as we did in this one, use this decrement operator. We're going to put I++, and there you go. So what we've got, we have to put this initializes. It's a bit like this count thing here. Okay, and then we give it a test or a condition to meet, and then we use this to control it. To add, you can this can be, you know, this is just one way. You can put I times 2 or look, whatever it is. Just don't get fixated on the I++. It's just a standard way of learning it, I think. So when we do this, we have to do something. So we do a sysout, and we're just going to print out I. Okay, so it'll just be the same, and we're going to change our thing here and put, is it for a while? For a while. There we go. I'm going to call that method or use it. Well, we're getting into the terminology here, the jargon, aren't we? And save it. So run. And we've got nothing. Oh, that's good. Oh, sorry. Less than, that's why. There we go. Now, if you'll notice, something strange happened here. It only goes to 19. But actually, since we have a 0, and this is quite common from what I've read. It's off by 1 problem. The off by 1. We're always off by 1. 0, but there's 20 actual numbers. It just doesn't go up to 20. So while that's gone through 20 times, and it's went do like that, and say, oh, this is the 20th. I'm going to stop. So let's have a look. So we initialized it. We created a thing. You can do something else for this if you want. And we said if I is less than 20, you can do this. So 0 is less than 20, and then add 1. So it did 0 because we started it at 0, and we did the check like that. So add 1, oh, that's less than 20, add 2, oh, that's less than 20, may as well continue, and so forth. And 19 is less than, 19 is the 20th, because we've got a 0, so I have to stop at 19. Damn, boy. And there we go. Now can you see the similarities? This one is a bit different as well, because we're going to show you in a second. This one is very, I would call it more general. Okay, it's slightly easier to use because in a minute you can see you can do a lot more of these. For example, I'm going to do a loop within a loop. Told you this lesson was going to go loopy, so we'll just, because I have a problem. I have a problem with my times table. All right. So we're going to do another loop for, and we'll have to call this, I think it's the convention, we call it J now, and that's going to equal 0. When I will put J is less than, oh, where's the thing, less than 10, and I'm going to change this one to 10. And yeah, I can see my error already because I wasn't looking at the screen. Oh dear. It's because it's the same button. Print J if J is less than 10. Don't worry about red lines. We'll go away. You start to get panicking. J plus plus. We have to do the brackets. Now we're putting a loop within a loop. Now this is a bit difficult, but it's not really. So it's just saying for every time I want one done, you've got to do this 10 times. Okay, and we're going to show you with a simple mathematical. This is for you to learn your times table. I times J. Let's see. Let's hope this works. Okay, so it didn't work. It went very eyes. You saw 0 0 0. Oh, that annoys me. That 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So how do we get this? It goes up to 81, which is 9 times 9. Interesting. So it should be less than 10, ij plus plus. So I, in this first one, 0 is times 0. Okay, and the second time, of course, it's 0 0. And then you go to 1, so it start. Interesting. This is supposed to do a times table, but it doesn't do it. You see, made a mistake as well. What I'm going to do, I just want to check something, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to get rid of this. But anyway, the important thing is it does what it does. It's just the result was not what I expected. Let's put out I plus, oh no, alright, let's do something. I just want to print out the, and remember in the previous lessons to print things out. This is what I want. Okay. It's putting out every number. All I'm doing here is I want to find out what numbers they are. Okay. And I'm gonna It's funny because the first one is 0 and 0. So when it goes to the next one, we're still on this. I think this is a better example actually. We'll do fancy examples later. So let's describe this one. So every time this, right, and that's 10 times, so we should have 10 zeros here. So 0, 0 to 9. Okay, that's 10. So for one time of this, it does 10 different times, so it puts out the number J 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, and that's good. That's what we wanted. Now for the second time, which is 1, it does the same thing, and then goes through 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and it's doing that. Okay, I think to do the times table we need a special prints thing which I haven't looked at yet, so I'm not gonna worry about it. So, but this is a good example of what it does because you can see it visually. The first loop here, the second iteration, that's a big word. The second time it goes through it, so yeah, the third time it goes through it, fourth time, fifth time, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. So every time it goes through one of these, it does this 10 times, and it goes 1 2 3 4 5. Oh, and then it reaches 10 and goes, okay, go back up to here, and then does the same thing 10 times and it goes back up to here. Yeah, that's much better. I'm so happy that happened. That was a happy accident. Ah, thank God. So this is a nested loop, it's called, but don't worry about that. It's not, don't worry. But the important thing is this loop thing. Let's get rid of this now. I just wanted to show you that you can do it. But this is your general thing. Okay, now you can do different things in here, you know. If you want to just say hello a lot, hello, 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 instead of printing out that 10 times, you can do that. You know, I can't tell you all the uses because it's got so many, and this is what you're going to learn when you go through, because I've seen a few and I think, oh my God, they can do that. Oh, you can do that. It's very good. But this gives you, I think it's a basic thing. This is how I understand it. I want to say, for every time you want something done, you have to, and you do something here, and you control it by this statement. So this could be, I want it done 10 times, I want it done 20, I want it done 3,000 times. You never know. Oh, let's knock it up a bit. See how many it does. It's at 9,000 times. Hello. Will it go mad? Whoa! Look at that. Hey, 9,000 hellos. You saying what I'm saying. And this you can change. In the next class, my class for me, to be honest. In the next video, we're going to look at more methods and parameters. So maybe we'll use this as an example and other things. So I hope you're catching what I'm trying to say. I don't think loops are difficult. I think what you just have to remember is their control. They help you control things, and you have to control them by tests. So you have to, every time it loops, that's why they call them loops, you're testing something, and if it passes the test, it does it. It's a bit like driving tests, you know. You pass it once, no. Pass it twice, no. Third time's a charm. Well, there you go. So that's what you want to do. Okay, and it's the same for this one. This one's a bit more controlled, and you can do, well, you can do loops within loops. So you can have 3 of these. I did a stupid one with 2. I was trying to be clever, but don't try ever to try to be clever. It never works. Never works. Okay, so there you go. I hope this has helped a little bit, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.